Osama is my fellow co-writer in Arab News, and he's also the chair of the editorial board, I think, of the Jordan Times. But he has a long career in Arabia.com, at the story. He was the editor of the store at its golden age, and he's active in many other editorial places.
Actually, Osama was my very first boss in journalism. I was like 19, maybe 20, and he was the first person who took a shot on me and accepted my piece. So I owe Osama a lot. So I am 50 now, so that's 30 years of writing, and just because Osama accepted my first piece in the Star long time ago. But anyway, so and Arabia, exactly.
The Jordan Porter.
The Jordan Porter, yeah, it's just like a really long time ago. But anyways, thank you everyone. So there's a lot been going on. I was actually very distraught by what I read yesterday about what's happening in Jordan. And since both of you are now in Jordan, so tell me, are the news exaggerating what's happening? Because the US media is Jordan, everywhere I go, Jordan. So what is actually happening? What are the attacks? Why did they just announce it now? So we'll start with our guest, Osama.
Well, this is not the first attack, as you know, since the first round of altercation between the United States, Israel on the one side, and Iran. Jordan has been targeted either directly or indirectly by Iranian missiles and drones. But this latest incident is probably the most serious one from an American point of view, because they actually, there are talk in the American media that there are more injured soldiers, that the
20 injured, Pentagon are not, according to the New York Times.
Yeah, exactly.
And 3 killed, or 2 killed, and 1 discovered.
Apparently, unfortunately, 2 killed, and they discovered the remains of a 3rd missing person. Yeah, unfortunately, the local media is not fully on board with the details. All what we know is we get from the American side and the American media and the Pentagon, CENTCOM. So from our perspective, living here in Amman, we have not heard or seen any evidence of this latest round of attacks from the Iranian side. But there are lots of rumors going on, and there are some people who live close to the Moffat Salti air base who say that they have seen or filmed videos of falling drones and maybe missiles. And according to them, and this has to be corroborated, there have been heavy damage to that base. So it's not the first time, but this is the most serious of all the attacks. The attack on Aqaba, there were actually some reports that it was not only Aqaba that was targeted, but the Ramon airport on the Israeli side in the Negev. I don't know how correct such reports are. I don't know if Daoud has access to.
No, I don't think any Israeli. I think the Iranians, and this is my point of view, I think the Iranians wanted to hit as close to Israel as possible without hitting Israel. I think they don't want to get the Israelis involved for many reasons, and I think they just want to tell the Israelis, we can get close. But what I was surprised at, and I want your opinion, Osama, is the reason. There is 2 different points of view. One says that the Americans are trying to evacuate a lot of the soldiers in the Gulf, and they thought Jordan would be a safe place. And that's why some said there's 4,000 soldiers who are staying in a camp. Ayman Safadi said we don't have American bases, but there's Jordanian bases that are crowded with American soldiers. That's one perspective. And the other is, as I said earlier, I think the Iranians just want to show the Israelis, we can come as close as possible to you. And so don't keep pushing the Americans to delay any negotiations. I don't know what your perspective is.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, sorry.
Go ahead.
As
go ahead.
Jordan has Safadi, and even before Safadi, in 2021, the United States and Jordan signed the Joint Defense Cooperation Agreement, which facilitated the use of Jordanian bases for American soldiers, American military, the training of Jordanians, logistics, whatever, gave actually, and it was a critical moment in the bilateral relation, because that agreement was not disclosed publicly in Jordan. We had to know about it from foreign sources, and it was never ratified by parliament. So it was already controversial even before the Iranian intervention and what followed. So yes, if you were talking semantic, these are Jordanian bases, but we all know that there are American, French, German, even Dutch and Belgian foreign troops in Jordan, either as part of the counterterrorism. As you know, Jordan is part of the coalition fighting Daesh. So those were in Jordan even before this latest round of confrontation. But definitely, I don't think
that agreement,
even Safadi can deny.
That agreement says that the Americans can come in and leave without getting permission. Isn't that? I remember that clause. There is a clause in that agreement.
True.
Which might explain why.
And Jordanian law does not apply to them.
So you can't sue them.
Okay, so why didn't they intercept it this time? I mean, because they've been hitting, the base for a while, and what happened this time specifically that actually it managed to hit it? Because every time they say, the Jordanian Air Force, they intercept. What happened this time that they could not intercept it and caused so much damage? Any idea what changed?
The answer could be in the American, in the U.S. media itself. Today, I think the Wall Street Journal published a piece which said that the Iranian missiles and missiles in particular are getting deadlier and faster. So definitely there is a change in pattern in the kind of armament used by the Iranians. And then there were other reports as well that said that China and maybe Russia are giving the Iranians important logistical GPS information about exactly how to target American troops and bases in the Gulf and in Jordan. Again, I must repeat that unfortunately all the information we have is either coming from Israeli or American sources.
Because one of the things that I read this morning, that the attack on Aqaba was as a result of intelligence from Jordan that was given to the Iranians, that there are US fighters flying from the Jordanian airport in Aqaba, and that's what they caused them to attack. I think it was published in some of the newspapers to date. Do you think that there are certain elements in Jordan that providing intelligence to the Iranians to do that?
And the Iranians thanked Jordanians for their help in one of their statements.
They did. Yeah. Okay. And what is Jordan doing about it? Or there's no media coverage of what the response, what's going to happen?
There is no media coverage, but don't be surprised. I mean, if in Israel they are actually arresting Israeli officers and others who are providing very sensitive information to the Iranians. And definitely there are lots of sympathetic voices here in Jordan for the Iranian being seen as a victim in spite of the aggression against its neighbors. But many people here justify that as part of a larger battle or war between Israel, the United States, and the last important defender of the Arab cause, of the Palestinian resistance and the entire resistant axis in the region. So definitely there are those who are still, maybe they are willing to provide some sort of information. But again, in Jordan there is not a blackout, but we do not have access to actual information with regard to having seen any arrests or any interrogations of people who are accused of providing direct information to the Iranians.
Osama, the American statement about Aqaba was very strange because it normally talks, warning people don't go there. But this time they actually gave news. They said the airport and the seaport were evacuated. And immediately the spokesman of the government, all of a sudden woke up.
Denied
said,
it.
No. We didn't evacuate. There was no order to evacuate. Our radio station sent, we have reporters who live in Aqaba, and they said there was no evacuation.
Yeah.
So the question is, what's happening between coordination? I mean, this media, I spoke to an officer at the embassy, media person, and I said, are you going to retract now that Jordan said there was no order for evacuation? He said, no, we will not retract. So we have a problem. There's no coordination. What was the reason for the embassy? I mean, they say it was based on sources. Come on, the U.S. embassy doesn't need sources.
They are the source.
So what do you think of this? What do you think of this lack of coordination?
I think it's a very serious incident with regard to the Americans, the embassy issuing that kind of direct and very urgent part of advisory and claiming that Jordanian officials have evacuated the airport and the seaport, and then having the Jordanian official spokesman, government spokesman, denying this, and then by the end of the day, other officials, even in Aqaba, confirmed that there was no evacuation of either. So first of all, this, I think, it's an embarrassment to the Jordanian government that the
Americans
here is actually
the Americans.
Yeah, but more for
a lack of
Jordan.
credibility.
Jordan is
true.
Exactly, Jordan is a sovereign country, first of all, and then it is also a close partner of the United States. That kind of information should have been shared, and then there should have been a joint decision with regard to how to deal with this matter. The thing is that also the Jordanian side was misled in a way when the spokesman said that we have no information about an imminent Iranian attack. Then the attack happened, so that even makes things worse for the Jordanian side as well as for the American side. So somebody did not do the job, or there was no communication at the highest level. And let me add something with regard to here. I mean, I'm extremely surprised that we are now into this global crisis with its with the resumption of the attacks between the United States and Iran, and Iran's attacking America's allies in the region, the Gulf and Jordan, and now the Houthis are on board. And yet there has not been any kind of top-level communication between Washington and Amman. I'm really surprised. I mean, Jordan is being targeted, and the CNN was yesterday talking about Jordan being singled out now as a primary Iranian target. As well, the U.S. media is talking about why Jordan, and yet we have not seen any kind of evidence about top-level consultation between Jordan and the United States, and this is very strange. Again, this is also not happening between top Gulf officials. I mean, Kuwait is being hammered on daily basis, and we have not seen any kind of action either at the level of the Arab League, at the level of the GCC, at the United Nations Security Council. This is very strange, the kind of lack of concern by the United States for its allies in the region, who are actually, two Americans or three Americans have been killed, but imagine the kind of damage that is taking place across the board from Kuwait to Jordan to Qatar to Bahrain to the rest of the world, globally, with the economic ramifications of this crisis.
So
busy being booed. Sorry.
Yeah.
Busy being booed at the World Cup.
At the World Cup. But do you think now Jordan is being officially dragged into the war after this? And what does the future hold? Are we going to be seeing more similar attacks, especially in places closer to Israel, like Aqaba, since it's close to Eilat and all of that. I mean, does this kind of change the trajectory of Iran's plans to use Jordan as kind of proxy to hit Israel, since probably it's easier since we don't have the Iron Dome?
Well, what I know for sure is that the Iranian system, whoever is in charge now in Iran, because that's also there is question mark regarding is Mujtaba alive? Is he actually in charge? The Revolutionary Guard, who's the president, the foreign minister? There seems to be lots of difficulties between or other two camps. One radical camp, and one is more moderate, who is willing to negotiate. But what I'm sure of is that the Iranians will not capitulate. And they think that they are on the right side, and also I think that they are being supported by China and Russia, who will not allow the regime to fall and for Iran to disintegrate. So on that level, it depends on the Americans. Today, Rubio mentioned that there is still room for diplomacy. Now there are reports that the mediators are trying to introduce 10-day pause in the fighting in order to allow diplomacy to work again. But definitely, if the Iranians are pushed for them, this is an existential war, and if they are pushed against the wall, then or Israel intervenes, or for some reason we have the Israelis back in the game, in the loop. So it could be bad for Jordan. Yes, Jordan could become more and more exposed. And remember, during the first round of the war, there were talk about hitting infrastructure, even in Jordan, electricity, power grids, and whatever. So we don't want to reach that stage. Hopefully, I hope that diplomacy will eventually come back and save the day.
Yeah,
Osama, I just read your piece in Arab News, and you make a very interesting argument that the whole time the difference between America and Iran was over the nuclear issue, how much and what's the level and what happens. And now nobody's talking about the nuclear anymore. They're all talking about the Straits of Hormuz, who controls it. And you argue that both sides should. What happened? We lost Osama.
I think we lost Osama. We'll wait a bit to see if
so let's talk about other things. And
yeah, I mean, World Cup was very political, if I might say. And you're the World Cup expert. I mean, with I had a birthday party.
I enjoyed the games. The last two games were actually very enjoyable, especially the England and France game. It was high scoring, 10 goals, and we had a really good time. So and yeah, it was nice. But yes, Spain and Argentina took on a Palestinian versus not Palestinian fight, because the president of Argentina has been supporting Netanyahu, wants to move the embassy to Jerusalem, and the prime minister of Spain has supported the Palestinians and broke ties and stopped cooperating with Israel and with the settlers and so on. So yes, I think what happened is that the almost entire Arab world and many supporters of Palestine were all rooting for Spain, and Spain actually controlled the game. You know, in 90 minutes there was not a single attempt on goal by Argentina, but for some reason Spain could not score in the first 90 minutes. It was only 2 minutes into the overtime and the second overtime that they made their first goal, and then it was over quickly. But yes, I think there was all kinds of human stories, Messi versus Laman, and a young new star that comes from an Arab or Moroccan origin versus Messi, who's in his fifth, World Cup, and with a chance of winning another time for Argentina. And then Spain won. And the American Trump insisted on attending, many NGOs passed the red card, so people waved the red card against Trump, and there was a lot of booing. But Trump stayed, and the co-host, the Mexican Prime Minister and the Canadian Prime Minister were there, and yes, Spain are very excited, and I saw pictures and videos of people in Egypt, in Gaza, in West Bank, in Jordan, in many other countries, all cheering for Spain. It was because the last time Spain won the Europe Cup, Le Mans
or something, yeah.
Le Mans raised the Palestinian flag, and then they tried to stop him, and they failed to stop him, and the government supported what he did. His club supported him, and he's a really good player. So yes, I think a lot of people feel justice was done. The Argentinians finally were attacked for watching, having a lot of fouls. One of their players was got a red card, and they played with 10 players. But in the end, they did not. Argentina did not do very well, except fouling and losing the game. But yes, it was an exciting World Cup. I think Osama's trying to join us. Can we let him in? I don't know why he's...
Yeah, I just sent him another invite. Did he actually raise the Palestinian flag after the end of this one?
I didn't see it because I think the camera probably avoided it. I did see a picture somewhere that he had the flag, but I don't know if it's AI or not. But it doesn't matter. He had raised it before, and I'm sure he'll raise it when they parade in Madrid and other places. So... but there's also a controversy there because the Catalanians were upset because they want to have a separate team that goes to the World Cup, like the Welsh and like other countries.
Osama's back.
They did not. Hi, Osama.
Hi, Osama.
Sorry.
Welcome back.
You missed the World Cup analysis.
No, it's. I read somewhere this morning that I think it was in Haaretz. Yeah, we can see you. We're good. And the title of the article, How Argentina Became Israel's Team. And it was all analysis how like it became so political, and it's I guess because of the Argentinian president, but it's even Netanyahu.
Natasha, we had an interesting vote in the Congress. You want to ask Osama about it? The 103 members of Parliament of the Congress.
Yes. So about the APAC thing, yeah, they voted to. Okay, here we go. So I have. So on July 15th, 104 members of the U.S. House voted to end the 3.3 billion in annual military aid to Israel, and PBS called it. Sorry. And PPS called it a vote that exposed a sharp divide in the Congress. And based on that vote, AIPAC said that they're not going to support any Democrat who signed to stop the aid. And so for me, this is personally, this is a major party shift, at least in the Democrats, especially after their role in the Gaza genocide, because they, funded most of it. So do you think they're kind of regretting it? And with the elections coming, they're going to say, no, we're anti what happened. We don't want AIPAC money. I mean, AIPAC publicly said we're not going to support them because they voted against the US aid. So Osama, what do you think is happening?
It's almost surreal what we're seeing. I mean, would you have imagined seeing and talking about this topic about AIPAC and about U.S. congressmen asking or voting to stop aid to Israel? And this is unbelievable. I studied in the United States and I've been following U.S. politics for almost 40 years now. But this is the most exciting time to actually immerse in American politics and trying to understand where things are heading. Come November midterm elections, of course, Daoud is also very much interested in American politics. So, but this is really exciting. I mean, Mamdani's victory in New York, the fact that he's now talking openly about arresting Netanyahu if he lands in New York. Yeah, and all of these topics are now, and then the progressive Democrats now winning actually and changing the whole trajectory of the Democratic Party. These are exciting times, and we are going to see as maybe Daoud wrote about it, that how Palestine is now becoming a major issue for a central theme for
a domestic story. It's become a domestic story.
Yeah, and for me, the ironic part, we would always talk about like Arab conspiracy theories, and they was like, they're all funded by AIPAC. The U.S. tax money goes to the U.S. military, and we sort of like, we always heard them, like U.S. Whatever Arab conspiracy theories, and like what? Like now the conspiracy theories are like open in the public. They're actually transparent, and they're not even conspiracy theories. So that for me is like a major shift between the Arab conspiracy theory to the actual reality that we're actually seeing in Congress. So
and the vote in New York, that more Jews support a Muslim mayor than the Prime Minister of Israel. I never in my life would have dreamed that this would happen.
Exactly.
That there would be more people voting for.
You're talking about New York. We're not talking about Michigan or some other area.
Exactly.
This the hub of the wealthiest, most influential Israelis and Jewish funders and supporters of Israel. So no, this is great. Of course, there is always the side of the genocide continuing as we speak in Gaza. Gaza being sidelined now because of the Iran-US face-off. This is tragic that so far nothing has happened to rein in Netanyahu and the Israeli government. They're still killing people in the tents, in the camps.
Whatever. A funeral, 7 people were killed in a funeral.
Watching World Cup matches, they actually targeted
them. Yeah.
So this is amazing that we have seen this change in Europe and especially in the United States. And I believe that this change in the United States is genuine. This is not a phenomenon that will disappear in once Trump goes or whatever. I think there is a drastic change that is taking place at the grassroots, especially among the youth, American youth, on both sides. Not only when it comes to the young
Gen Zs, Gen Zs,
and even right wing Tucker Carlson is now also doing that.
Exactly. I mean, Haaretz framed this as, and I'm quoting, Democrats rejected U.S. aid to Israel and AIPAC could not stop them. And I think the idea that AIPAC is now cannot do what they used to do in the past is a major shift in U.S. policy. So we're running out of time, but I would like to say hi to those who are live with us. I have Rose Wayland. Thank you, Rose, for joining us. And then we have Beneath the Surface. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions for our guest, Osama Sharif or Daoud Kuttab or myself, please feel free to ask. Among us, you have how many years of experience? Over 100 years of experience.
Also, please subscribe. Subscribe Osama Sharif on Substack, Natasha Tynes on Substack, and Daoud Kuttab on Substack, as well as our joint 2 Arab journalists and 1 Levant Substack. So please join. It's free now. I don't know how long it will be free, but please join our Substack accounts, and I'm sure you will learn something that you don't get in the proper media.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Osama, for joining us.
Thank you.
This was great. Of course, we loved hearing your insights and hope to have you again on our show, 2 Arab journalists, 1 Levant. And until we meet again, we'll see you next week, same time at 12 EST. And until we meet again, thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice day. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.